Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas with you. We still have Jen Wilensick and Mariana DiGiacomo here, and we are joined by Debbie Maycomber. Good morning, Debbie.
Oh, good morning, everyone.
So glad that you could join us. We have so much going on at the Stark County Library, and before we jump into your books, there's something. Who is Linda?
Linda is our new database, which is an online training tool which offers over 6,000 classes in software development, project management, common office programs, and photography, and just about anything you can imagine.
It's amazing, everything going on there. And then, of course, the Speaking of Books series. And Debbie Maycomber, if it's okay for me to just fangirl out here a little bit, I am your typical target market person who is watching the Hallmark movies at Christmas time and have enjoyed your stories so much. First of all, I enjoy the stories you tell, but I think I love the story of you getting to where you are right now. Can you talk about that mother of four with a typewriter on her kitchen table who decided to write books?
Well, it's interesting that I just think God has got a wonderful sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
Because I was the girl in school that never did well. I didn't learn to read until the 5th grade, and that's because I'm dyslexic. But God had given me this gift of being a storyteller, and I had to learn to be the writer. But there was an incident in our family. A cousin I had grown up with that I was very close to died of leukemia, and it was as if God was saying to me, you cannot push your dreams into the future, because I had a long list of reasons why I couldn't do this. And so we started off with that rented typewriter at the kitchen table.
A rented typewriter. I didn't even know they were for rent.
Oh, yes, it was a rent-to-own program, and we had to rent the manual instead of the electric because we couldn't afford the rental fee on the electric.
So you were using corrector tape and everything unless you made no mistakes.
Oh, heavens, did I make mistakes? I am a creative speller.
Oh, my goodness. I just can't even imagine. It is. You need to do a book about you because it's such a wonderful story. What was the first, do you remember what got you started? What was the first one that was deep inside you that you couldn't wait to get out?
It was a story. It was actually the first published book that I had. I had to write 4 books all the way through because, like I said, I had to learn to be the writer. Mm-hmm. But I've always been a good storyteller. And so I'd taken some community college classes, and one of the teachers was a blind man. And he so intrigued me with how he maneuvered himself around campus. And I kind of followed him and watched him, and so I wrote a story about a blind man.
How were you made to feel as going into 5th grade and still struggling with reading because of dyslexia? Did you hate school? Were you okay with school? Did you, how did you navigate that, Debbie?
I hated school.
Yeah.
I hated school. I hated the teachers. I hated everything about school. I hated being at the bottom of my class. And the 3rd grade teacher told my mother in my hearing, Debbie's a nice little girl, but she's never going to do well.
Was there a teacher, was there someone who finally was able to diagnose that you just see words differently, like so many children do, and be able to find you ways to, balance beam and different things that we're finding now can help a child learn. We all learn differently. Help a child with dyslexia learn how to learn.
No, there was no one because they didn't know about dyslexia back then.
So
just didn't, the teachers did the best they could with what they had. I was in a parochial school. There were 50 kids in the classroom, but I was smart enough to learn how to sight read. So, I knew that WAS was, unless I saw it as saw.
Right.
And I didn't know I was dyslexic until my own children were diagnosed with it, my boys.
It's so much more prevalent in boys, so kind of uncommon, or not uncommon, but less common in girls.
Yes.
Then what kinds of things were you able to do to help your boys?
Well, I think my youngest son had to repeat the first grade while we
It's
worked
okay.
with letters, and they had programs in school, after school programs and things that helped them both.
Yeah, we've come a long way, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
How badly would you like to go back to all those teachers and say, have you been on the New York Times bestseller list for 1,000 weeks? Who in this room has?
I have a really interesting story, two interesting stories. And one has to do with the library, so I can hardly wait to tell you that one. When I was a little girl, about 4 years old, my mom took me to story time. I grew up in Yakima, Washington, the center of the state, and the librarian handed me the book. And my mother said I was so excited to get this book that I grabbed hold of it with both hands and put it right next to my heart. And from that moment forward, I would not go to bed, well, I still to this day, without a book in my hand. She had to give me something to hold and read or pretend to read before I would go to bed. And that's a wonderful story, but the librarian was Beverly Cleary.
No. No, sir. What? Okay, that you're hanging with the right people, I think. And she would say the same. Oh my goodness! Well, tell us what is the real Cedar Cove? You have created such a wonderful place that we all want to call home.
Oh,
where is the real Cedar Cove?
it's Port Orchard, Washington. And, I didn't realize at the time when I started this series, I had done a series in Alaska, I'd done a series in the Dakotas, I'd done a series in Texas, and I was just kind of tired of traveling to do research. So I thought I'll just do a series with, right in my hometown here, where Wayne and I have lived for the last 30-some years. And just because I know where everything is, I wouldn't have to look it up. I put it right, and I very thinly disguised the businesses in town, like the Pancake Palace is actually the family pancake house. And Amy's on the Bay is really Dee Dee's on the Cove. So, it was all very I had no idea this series would take off like that. We still have visitors that come to town every week and ask about is there a map to explore Cedar Cove. And we finally produced a map for people to go around and in fact, one time we had somebody from the courthouse call and say, somebody's here looking for Judge Olivia.
Oh, no. Well, that's because you've created such a real place. We were talking before we got you on the phone and said that is the appeal of your writing is it's so real. You just jump right into it and start to live it, and it's a wonderful world.
Oh, thank you, Susie. I had a very interesting letter last week. A woman wrote, it came through my website, and she does this little thing for homeless people. She strings up between trees and hangs with clothespins little bags that for homeless people. It has a toothbrush and all these other things. And she was putting this up, and a young man came by, and I said, do you have any books in there? He said, no, I didn't include any books. Are you a reader? And he says, yes. And she says, well, I have some books in my car. I'd be happy to give you. And he says, you wouldn't happen to have any by Debbie Maycomber, would you?
Oh, my goodness, you've got fans.
And I told my daughter that story, and she says, Mom, it's because he was looking for home.
Yes. She nailed it. That's exactly right. I also feel like we're getting to spend Valentine's Day with the Christmas Queen. What is it about Christmas and writing about Christmas that you enjoy so much?
I think that I think our hearts are more open at Christmas time, and that we're just more receptive. There's a spirit of generosity that isn't there all the time, but people are just more aware of others in need. I mean, the food bank gets all this food. There's, the bell ringers are out there, and there's just more of an awareness, and I just think we're also more open at Christmas time and more vulnerable as people.
Yes. How neat for you, though, that you're kind of celebrating it all the time, because I'm going to guess that even right now you're getting your next idea for your next Christmas book. Have you started it yet? No
actually,
pressure.
I just finished it.
See? Wow. You finished it.
Yes, it's
So-
set in Alaska, so it's Alaska. People seem to really like me to write about Alaska, so.
So, well, I love that. Okay, so what's the process then? How does that become a Hallmark movie? Because, oh my goodness, you're living all of our dreams.
Oh, the Hallmark, that's kind of an interesting story in itself. The movies are, how they are presented to Hallmark is the producers will come with the script or with the book and sell it to Hallmark. Hallmark then invests the money and they go out and get a script writer and the stars and attach it to the film. They kind of bring it as a whole project. Now, that's the way it has been done in the past. Hallmark has kind of changed the way they're doing things in that they're having in-house producers now.
Oh.
So, so it's just a little bit different, but that's generally. And I owe my entire movie career at Hallmark to an intern. She had been given the assignment by a movie producer to read Christmas books and pick one that she thought would make a good movie. And she took this very seriously, and she read dozens of books, and she picked a book, Mrs. Miracle, that I had written probably 30 years ago.
Wow.
I mean, 25 years ago for sure. And she brought it to him, and he looked at the cover, and he says, I don't think so. And she said, you know, I took this seriously. I read all these books, and this is the one. But just don't look at the cover. At least read the book. And he went home that night, read the book, and came back and said, you're right.
Oh, the rest is history.
And the rest.
Oh, we love that one.
And you know, two of my most popular series are Mrs. Miracle and The Angel, Surely Goodness and Mercy, and both of those come from Scripture.
Isn't that cool? That's the coolest.
I know it.
So for somebody listening here saying, well, I want to write a Hallmark movie, do they need a miracle as well or an intern?
But they just need to read the Bible.
That's it. There you go. Start there. That's a good start. How about Any Dream Will Do, your latest? What's that about?
Oh, that's another interesting story, too. My daughter had been working with the homeless at Union Gospel Mission. She would go out on these rescue missions where they would go out at late at night to feed the homeless. They line up and have sandwiches, and they hand out warm clothes and stuff. And they have a place there for women to retrain them after they get out of prison or wherever. And I just was so enthralled with that idea. And I had gone to speak. There's a women's prison close to us. I had gone to speak there. And, you know, you never know if you're reaching people or not. And the women were there, and they were passing notes back and forth and whispering. And I thought, well, I don't know. You know, I came home and I told my husband I was kind of discouraged. And then I got a text message from the person who had invited me to come speak, and it said, you were a hit. I heard one of the women say, that was worth going to prison for.
You just never know, do you?
So I had, I just was so enthralled because those two things happened very close together where my daughter started doing this, and I'd gone to visit Hope Center. And I thought, well, I'm going to create a story about a woman getting out of prison who has to start her own life, a life over again, and wanting to do her best and keeps running into roadblocks. And
awesome. And that will be available Valentine's evening, February 14th at the Canton Palace Theater. Mariana, give us all the details.
Yeah, so again, that's February 14th at the Canton Palace Theater. Doors open at 5:30. You can register at starklibrary.org. Our friends of the library will be selling Any Dream Will Do, Merry and Bright, and If Not For You. And Debbie will be signing books after the event.
And Debbie, you are as down-to-earth and delightful as I thought you would be.
Well, thank you, Susie.
Thank you so
people
much.
need to know I'm just downright friendly.
That's right. Well, we can't wait to meet you. It'll be in 2 days, Valentine's Day.
Right, can't wait.
What time does that start again?
6:30.
All right. And doors open when?
5:30 p.m.
Yeah, I think you want to be in line and you want to register ahead. Have your seat spoken for. Debbie Maycomber, thank you so much. Jen Walensik, Mariana DiGiacomo, thank you all you do for our community.
Thank you for having us.